take you from the ground up on a typical generic Earthship in the greater world community in Taos, New Mexico. The site is sage-covered, pretty much flat. The layout is the first thing that happens with strings and tires, pretty much like Volume 1 has illustrated. After the layout, the very next thing is excavation, and the earth is dug out and placed around the perimeter of the building to strategically place the dirt for the best location for shoveling it into the tires going all the way around the building. The tires are then packed, the earth is shoveled in and they're packed out. A lot of times they're stuffed quite a bit first before they're packed. This is Carol Hudson, the owner. Her and her husband Henry are going to be working on this project all the way through. This kind of empowers them for finishing the building themselves and understanding it and even adding on more later. Also, it helps save some labor costs as they worked all the way through the project. One of the first things that is done on the site is the systems package box is installed, usually by one of our specialists. This is basically the engine of the home. It houses all the utilities, the power center, the water center, the solar hot water heater, the backup gas hot water heater. It gives these utilities in the very beginning of the building this way, and of course provides the utilities after the building is finished. The tire work is well on its way now. Carol and Henry have been involved in this all the way up. They're beginning to appreciate the amount of labor that goes into this, even though the materials are basically free. The tire work is pretty much laid like bricks. The earth is pounded into them. Each one weighs about 400 pounds. They are pounded with sledgehammers. The earth is pounded into them. The tires are leveled with each other, again very much like bricks, to keep the walls plumb and level. There are various little techniques for getting the tires level with each other. There is quite a bit of tolerance available in this kind of construction though. Cardboard is put into the tires before earth is, simply to fill the voids temporarily so the earth won't fall out the bottom. Then that cardboard that is exposed there is covered with mud on the inside and burial on the outside, so it becomes insignificant. Here are the photovoltaic panels that are temporarily placed on the ground to provide power for construction in conjunction with the systems package.
Get your back into that job, Jeremy.
I'm hoping that we can get this. Of course, is going to be spending time trying to just straighten the whole thing up. Of framing, etc. So if we get down
straight across.
Yeah, so like what I'm getting at is that
pull that
here they'll be actually
do it, Henry.
Get back and run.
Go, Henry.
Go, Henry.
Okay.
Go, Henry.
You all set?
Go, Henry.
Run up there.
And one thing that was immediately apparent is that we could feed off the energy of others. That if two people are working on it, there's a certain energy flow. But if there are 4 or 5 people working on the same thing, which is a very difficult, pounding tires, there's a very different energy, not only in the group, but what energy is aroused in you. So working with a full crew, we got excellent instruction as how to do things, but I saw that I could get through a workday much easier with 3 or 4 other fellows pounding the tires along with me than when I was doing it myself. So there was this energy exchange that was very beneficial and is needed because the fill 700 to 800 tires for a house. We did this in something like 8-9 days.
The next step after tire work is completed is to put the plating on and the stepped blocking to create the slope for the vigas or trusses to slope the roof to the south. These blocks are what the vigas are pinned up on to give them an adequate slope. They're all individual blocks nailed together, and the vigas give you a south-facing slope. The process of putting the vigas on with a string line to get them all in plane is discussed in Volume 1. These vigas are not always available all over the country, so often we use TJI trusses, which use much less wood than the vigas. While the carpenters are installing the roof vigas, other members of the crew can be packing out the finished tire work. The packing takes place with mud made from sifted earth from the site, mixed with sand and straw and water, and it's sifted through a homemade sifting screen and simply slung into the voids between the tires. This whole process is delineated very clearly in Earthship Volume 1. The applications have to dry before you apply it again, and they are built out in 2 or 3 applications to be flush with the tread of the tires. This gets you ready for plastering, which is also made from the same mud with a little different formula as delineated in Earthship Volume 1. Now, while other things are going on, the cisterns can be made. Sometimes they're made out of cans, sometimes they're made out of tires. We put them at either end of the building now to store about 5,000 to 8,000 gallons of water. The cans are laid and in cement and then plastered to form a plastered cistern that holds about 3,000 gallons of water. Also, cement plaster is applied to the earth cliffs that are usually 3 to 4 feet high that the tire walls are setting on. This cement plaster simply clusters up all the loose parts of the cliff and turns it into a cement plastered wall that we ultimately apply mud plaster to.
And the rollers are rolling.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right.
We made it.
Okay.
That. We're gonna lift it up and move.
1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Great. All right. Okay. Wedges. Get a little block underneath this part.
Now, Phil Basehart, the foreman on the project, is going to talk to you a little bit about the installation of the vigas.
In the Earthship, putting up the vigas is a big point of your house. That means you finish pounding the tires, and it's kind of like a barn raising. You know, you need a lot of people, and you go out there, and we do it by hand, generally. We never use a crane. And on that project, we had incredibly large vigas. They were over 30 feet long. Some of them were actually green, and the diameters were 1.5 foot easily at the base of some of them. 2 feet even on one of them. And that process is just, you have to be really careful not to hurt anybody. And it's all about having a lot of people and doing it slow. And on those, you just simply you build a track for them, and then you roll them up the back of the house and slowly roll them out on the walls on top of the plating, gently letting them step down, or else you can, with those you can break the plating. But that's almost the easiest part of the vigas, actually. You get those on, it takes half a day, no matter how big they are, they're all on. And then you start dealing with the blocking and the moving and manipulating up into the flat roof.
All right, that's good.
Bingo!
Oh no!
Oh no, Parker has to redo that.
Oh, Parker, you didn't put up nails in it.
I know.
Rolling up the ball. It's all right. It's all right. I'll let go of that. Boom. Yeah. A bit more. A little bit.
Down.
All right, Parker.
Let me get that ready.
One of the most difficult parts of the building is the front face. It definitely requires some reasonably experienced carpenters. The drawings and the sections are very clear on how to do this, but as you can see, angle cuts are involved, and the front face is installed perpendicular to the winter sun angle to let the heat come all the way back into the building during the winter. And this also at the same time blocks the heat from coming in by virtue of the ceiling rafters up there, the 2x12s. It blocks the heat from coming in the summertime. The struts going up are overlapped with the roof joists going out. There's a lot of accuracy required to make sure that the 46 by 90 standard glass panels will fit without any trouble. That is the real issue here, is making sure that the front face is installed square. As you can see, it is at 30 degrees to the vertical, 60 degrees to the horizontal, and perpendicular to the winter sun. My wife, Chris Simpson, built the cistern on this project.
I built this cistern in about 3 days using cans and cement. It's going to hold about 3,000 gallons of water, built on a little 6-inch by 6-inch cement footing. Reinforced that with some rebar. I think the whole cistern used about 2,000 cans, and to get it into a circle shape, I used a homemade compass, rebar and string, very simple. Here you see Kirsten and I putting on the second of the 3 plaster coats. Underneath the plaster there's 2 layers of chicken wire, and you do have to make sure each coat is applied completely in one session. You don't want any cold joints, you don't want any cracks in that cement. This particular cistern is going to be bermed with earth, keeps the water from freezing, and it will also be roofed for safety.
Now that the tires have been packed out, the interior mud plastering can be done. It's done with a more refined formula of the same mud and sand that was used to pack the tires out. This is one thing that the owners can get seriously involved in because there's a lot of it, and it has to dry in between coats, and it's very easy to learn how to do it, especially the preliminary coats. The final finish coat of mud is a little more difficult to apply and get the right surface. But all of these early scratch coats are very easy to do, and of course the materials are free. The wiring is installed in the framework very much like conventional housing. It is put into the mud walls very much like conventional masonry. There's the inverter that is a part of the whole POM, power organizing module, and the batteries. These are all in that systems package box that was illustrated in the very beginning. They've been here since the beginning of the job. This is the power that the job was built with, and it is also the power that the home will be run from. Usually we have 10 to 12 batteries in a 1 or 2 bedroom Earthship. They have to be in a box and contained in a box with a vent, and the entire power module is prefabbed and built by Solar Survival and then just installed in the house. The water module, the WOM, is also prefabbed and just installed in the systems package with pumps and filters to distribute the water collected from the roof and stored in the cisterns. Plumbing is very conventional, other than the fact that it is coming from cisterns rather than a well. The roof of the building is, currently the roofs are made of metal, and this collects very clean water, and the roof is channeled into that channel there, and it runs into the cisterns at either end of the house. The roof is penetrated with the skylights, but they are detailed so that they do not leak. And off at either end of the roof, it's channeled into 3,000 to 4,000 gallon cisterns, giving you approximately 8,000 gallons of water is what we recommend now. Another more difficult part of the building is the detailing of the metal work on the front face. It's very important that it be done both to look nice and not to leak. This is detailing the front face into the solar hot water heater roof that will contain the solar hot water heater. Here we have the metal sheathing on the front face. The whole front face, due to the fact that it is just tortured with wind, sun, and rain, must be metal and glass and nothing else. We've tried wood, and wood just doesn't hold up. So we prefab these mullions that are put on with butyl tape and screwed on with pro panel screws, and then they are painted. It's galvanized metal. You have to rub it with vinegar to take the galvanized oil off, and then you paint it, and the paint will stay on then. And so you end up with a metal front face that's that'll take the sun and the rain, and of course will not leak. We also have panels that cover the fascia of the building that are made of the same metal, and we prefab these panels with the right bends and configurations to simply screw on to the fascia of the building.
Right on the line there.
Now the interior work is getting well underway, and the owners can be involved quite a bit with this, as they sometimes take it all the way after the systems are all functioning, because they've learned enough during the course of building the building this far. This is the gray water planter being constructed. It's built of cans usually. It's usually halfway into the ground and halfway out of the ground, and all the gray water runs into it and is channeled and cleaned and used by plants and then reused for a flush toilet. We have a chronicle that is a chapter on this whole section of the building, and it takes you through step by step on how to build these gray water planters. But essentially they're just a space to contain and filter the water that is usually 2 to 2.5 feet deep, filled with gravel and earth after the plastering, and it contains the plants then that basically filter and oxygenate the water. And this whole process is very well described in the Earthship Chronicle called Gray Water Containment, Treatment, and Distribution Systems.
Let's just continue right around. Just kind of help me this thing. That's great.
The floors are usually made of masonry to absorb the sun, and it's also thermal mass. We can put wood floors in if they're out of the sunlight. This is typical flagstone floor, which we use a lot of. It's simply laid in cement. We have a detailed step-by-step method of doing this outlined in Volume 1. It's simply flagstone laid in cement and then grouted. And of course it has to be leveled. And the floors are usually done near the end when all the rest of the building is shaped up and all systems are working. Carol here is applying the mud plaster over the cement scratch plaster that was earlier applied on the cliffs. We finish the buildings out usually with totally mud plaster, except in bathroom or kitchen areas, and the mud plaster is the final finish, being applied over a more strong and stable cement undercoat. Kitchen is beginning to go in. The gray water planters are now pretty much complete, and general detailing of fireplaces and vents for fireplaces and various interior details are now what everybody is up to. The fireplaces usually have to have a 4-inch vent going out through the roof to provide fresh air for the fireplaces, because the fireplaces would smoke because the building is so tight that it can't get combustion air. So we take these 4-inch pipes out to provide combustion air for the fireplaces, and they're usually detailed in with all the final detailing, plaster coated and shaped into the final shapes of the building. At this point in finishing, there's a lot of sculpting that goes on to basically give the client a hand in sculpting their own environment. What we end up with here now is a Earthship almost finished that the clients themselves can actually take the finishing touches all the way to the end, because they've been educated throughout the process of building it thus far. And we have an Earthship from the ground up.
We have come from a traditional background. We have lived in traditional homes in the city all of our lives. And what Mike Reynolds says is very true, that the Earthship will take care of you rather than you taking care of it. The money flow in taking care of houses in the city was continuous for us. Yes, there is an initial investment in an Earthship, but once that's done, we have no utility bills. It is taking care of us. The rain provides our water, the sun provides our electricity and heat. It is a very stress-free way of living.